what Reggie Wright has been hoping that you would never find out, and how mixing lies with the truth is an old police tactic to leave you confused and off the trail, and how Suge Knight was the one who was really let down in Vegas that night, distinguishing a record industry event to a personal event. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like the game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY, Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It's very much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell a friend. And most importantly, if you're new to the channel, please do me a favor and hit that bell notification right below this video. I got some information for you guys today that I've come across in my research. You know, I like to thoroughly research things. And I want to tell you this, and I tell you this humbly. I've come to understand what Reggie Wright Jr. has been hiding and what he's actually running from, the truth that he's running from, right? So what I did was, you have to understand, and I'm going to break it down to you like this. Reggie Wright Jr. said on Bomb First, when John first asked Reggie Wright in regards to him, the letter being fired or something like that from 2Pac firing him, right? And he said he got a letter, and he basically said that this letter came in around April, if you will. And I'm gonna tell you flat out, that's a lie. That's a lie. He never received a letter in April. My sources tell me there was no letter in April. The only letter that 2Pac sent was the letter in August, on August 27th, 1996. Now, let me tell you why Reggie Wright would say that there was an earlier letter. By suggesting that there was an earlier letter that he received, if he received that letter, I'm sure as a businessman, he probably would still have that letter somewhere filed up, even after all of these years. Very important letter coming from 2Pac. Ask him to show you that letter. I bet you he can't, because it doesn't exist, right? So now, by suggesting that the letter was sent in sometime in April, naming this Keyshawn Johnson party and so on and so forth, basically what he's saying is, oh, I received the letter, but not the one in August. But the letter that was really being referred to by John as well as by Frank Alexander was the letter in August, right? So the reason why Reggie keeps lying about that and will not tell the truth about that is because he likes to mix lies with truth, right? In order to finagle your thinking, or better yet, to help you stay off the trail. But I'm on the trail, and I'm going to tell you why he did that. So now, in Las Vegas, you notice, we've seen the video. Reggie Wright has suggested that even though 2Pac may have fired him and he didn't get the letter, right? Well, how do you know that you were fired if you didn't get the letter, but you wish you would have gotten the letter? Check this out, y'all. So now, we've seen the video of 2Pac walking through the MGM Grand that night. There's video of 2Pac walking through, and Frank is right next to him, and the whole 9 yards, right? There's no other security guard there. None. Just Frank Alexander. Now, why would it just be Frank Alexander rolling with 2Pac? Why? You know why? Because what Frank Alexander said was true in regards to him approaching 2Pac, asking him about the letter that he had saw from the staff the receptionist at the office in regards to letting Frank know that, you know, he think that, you know, he thought that 2Pac was firing him. So Frank went to approach him. And Frank said that 2Pac told him, no, Frank, you rolling with me, right? What proves that fact is the video in Vegas. Who was with 2Pac? Frank, right? So that corroborates the fact that the conversation that Frank said that he had with 2Pac would be true. Not through what I'm saying, but the video. You see? So now, when you have Reggie Wright, now we know through the video that there's no other security guards there watching 2Pac. The only person that you see there watching 2Pac is Frank. Frank tells a story in reference to what 2Pac told him when he approached him about the letter and thought that he was being fired. 2Pac told Frank, yeah, you rolling with me. No, don't worry about that. I'm, you know, basically firing, you know, Reggie and his security company, but you rolling with me through his company, Euthanasia. Reggie would still work for Death Row, but he just wouldn't personally be working for 2Pac. Who he said that he was going to take with him? Frank. Who was with him in Vegas on the video? Frank. Facts. You see how that goes with the truth. The story matches the video, right? Now, you've heard Reggie Wright say, well, you know, I still had we still was on 2Pac. My security company was still watching 2Pac, you know, even after that letter. No, they weren't. Your security company was still working for Death Row. So when you see 2Pac at the MTV Video Music Awards in New York, you see security around 2Pac, right? But you see only one, and that was Michael Moore, right? In this picture right here. So when you understand what that is, Frank had said that him and Michael Moore would work off and on 2Pac. But once again, you got to understand that Reggie Wright's security firm still worked for Death Row. So if 2Pac was going to an event and all of Death Row was going to be there, Suge and whoever else was going to be there, then of course they would have security. It didn't mean that that security company still worked for 2Pac, but it in fact worked for Death Row, who 2Pac was an artist under. Remember, 2Pac fired Reggie's security company from being his personal security, you know, outside of, you know, the daily operations of Death Row. So when 2Pac would go somewhere and do something, you know, and all of these other things, right, then, you know, he wouldn't need Right Way as his security. You know, he was letting them know your services basically are no longer needed, right? So now, once again, Reggie told that lie because he doesn't want anybody to know what the truth of the matter is. And the truth of the matter is when 2Pac went to Las Vegas, as you can see, and I just explained to you with the video, that Reggie Wright pulled his security off of 2Pac Shakur because of that letter. Now listen, oh, you still don't believe me? What did Michael Moore say? Michael Moore said that Reggie, one of the supervisors, actually called him because he said he still had his service weapon or work weapon with him, and he wasn't going to take his off of him. He said that they call him down to 662. Michael Moore not lying, man. You understand what I'm saying? May he rest in peace. And so when you understand everything that you know, 2 + 2 has always been 4, and so you the math, it simply adds up. So now, when you see 2Pac and them at the MGM Grand after the fight, Michael Moore's not there. The only person that's there is Frank Alexander. And Frank also explained to us that in that meeting prior, a couple of days before, I don't know if it's the same day or a couple of days before, that there wasn't this information that was supposed to be submitted to Las Vegas, and wherein they would be legally allowed to carry their weapons. Right? So now, Reggie Wright keeps alluding to the lie, not a fact, but the lie that somehow his security was still protecting 2Pac in Vegas. Even after that letter, we still was around him. You weren't protecting 2Pac. Number one, the reason why is the fight is not a business situation like it would be at the MTV Video Music Awards. See, the MTV Video Music Awards would be something that would be an record label event, you know what I mean? Promotion involving the business of the label. The going to Vegas for the fight would be a situation where you would be on your personal time. Get it? You see? So therefore, that's why Frank was the only one on 2Pac Shakur that night in Vegas. Because 2Pac, remember, I told you, euthanasia fired Reggie and his company for being 2Pac's personal security, right? But somehow, some way, Reggie now wants you to believe that he was a part of Frank being on 2Pac in Vegas. The Vegas incident was a personal matter, a private matter, a matter in which, you know, we go into the fight. Has nothing to do with record label, has nothing to do with promoting records, has nothing to do with record label business. The MTV Music Awards, however, would be something different, and where Suge would be there, all the other artists would be there, you know, Snoop would be there, and so on and so forth. You have to understand that. So now, you get it? I had to bring it to you like this because a lot of people don't want to understand that. So the reason why Frank Alexander was on 2Pac in Vegas and you see no other security guard around, and the reason why Michael Moore was called back to 662, right, it was because of that August 27th, 1996 letter that Reggie Wright received. He took the information in, and he did what Reggie Wright did, and now he wants credit for somehow protecting 2Pac after the fact, when he know, and I know, and now you know, that he pulled his security guard off of 2Pac, his security company off of 2Pac, but then wanted to deny that he received that letter so that you wouldn't know the truth and the facts behind that. That's why I say what I say in regards to being complicit, not in any kind of setup, anything like that, right? But if he wasn't supposed to be there involving 2Pac, at least he could have protected Suge. See, because now you go to 662. Now 662 after the fight would be something that would be, if we're having an after party for the label, you know, Pac is supposed to perform and all of those things. Now we have a situation in where, you know, we're going back to something that has to deal with death row, and that's why the security was down there at 662. You get it? So Reggie, we know you received the letter. Reggie, we know that there was no letter sent in April. Because if there was a letter sent in April, then Yasmin would have released it. After you lied on her, basically saying that you said that she wasn't fired when you did say she was fired. Y'all get it? So that's what it was. You have an incident that relates to the record label in the MTV Music Awards, right? Video Music Awards. And then you have an incident in Vegas, which would be a private incident involving going to a heavyweight championship fight. That has nothing to do with the, you're on your private time at that particular time, right? And that's why Frank was the only one with Tupac at that particular time. This is what Reggie Wright has been running from. These facts. Right? When all he had to do was admit to the truth. The truth of the matter is, I received the letter when we were in New York. We were security for just death row. Pac fired me. He said he didn't want me as security no more. When they went to Vegas to the fight, I pulled all my security off of them because my security company was no longer working for Tupac because that was a private event in Vegas. Not a private event, but a personal event. Tupac was on his personal time. And, like I said, he had fired me and said he no longer needed my services in that capacity. And so, therefore, he said he wanted Frank on him, and that's why Frank was still on him. Right? But you say, well, Frank still worked for Right Way Security, though, didn't he? Well, no, not really. Right? Because I don't know what kind of contract that Reggie had with Frank, but Frank could also, if he was, he could moonlight and be on Tupac that night if Tupac wanted him on him, right? I'm sure if that's what he wanted, he could have that happen, right? And he did. And Frank said as much, right? So you got to understand the difference between the two. But that's what Reggie Wright has been running from. The fact of the matter, he's been dealing with that guilt that he could have done something, but he didn't do it. But now wants to Monday morning quarterback the situation and still claim that somehow, some way, that he was still securing Tupac after that August 27th, 1996 letter. And that's simply not true. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.